Hello, welcome to the club. Now, this is the club of the people who like to make very interesting builds, but I was having a lot of problems with this gun. Now, ever since I saw the stats of the gun and saw how some people are praising it, I was looking at it and, okay, let's have a little bit of a discussion. This is related to the entire game and also especially to the way the developers handle things. So, for example, when they released the Ritualist archetype, they didn't have a clue of how to balance the Masma. So instead of balancing it, you know what they did? They hard capped it. So it doesn't work as intended. It doesn't even have half of the interactions it should have. And I think this is the case as well with the Anguish. So they made the Anguish, they slapped into the game, they slapped it into the DLC. So people paid extra money to actually use this weapon. And then when the developers realized they had no idea what to do with it or balance it, they just gave it all of the stuff and they just left it like that. So 2 weeks after the release of the DLC, there's no patch. And what is the Anguish? Well, let's just explore all of the things it does. It's one of the worst weapons in the game because it has a lot of fire mode. So this is fire mode number 1, number 2, and number 3. And to be honest, nothing works as intended just because of it's hard capped. It's a hard capped items. It's not influenced by much anyway. So for example, if you increase the total damage of your character, you cannot increase the damage of the explosion. If you try to increase more damage, it doesn't work. If you try to increase the physical damage, it works more or less, but not as intended. If you also try to see... Okay, this is another interesting point of this. So let me show you by example. As you can see, the Savior, it's a pretty bad gun as well, but it can actually be manageable. It's apply burning, dealing 1265.6 damage. That means it's affected by a lot of the things I'm wearing and doing. Over 13 seconds, it will last 20 seconds. As you can see, since the Anguish over here doesn't have a duration, that means you cannot increase its duration to have more permanent fire, more permanent continuous fire. Another big problem in my opinion is that it doesn't act as a normal weapon. It doesn't have physical attacks or doesn't do the normal attacks. You'd think, hey, this works with momentum, right? Maybe I should try it with momentum. Well, let's try what happens with momentum. Oh look, I already have 10 stats. Okay, what if I use the mod? The mod doesn't trigger momentum because it's a mod, it's not a weapon per se. Let's try the same thing over here. Actually use it, this will recharge it a little faster. Cool sound effect, right? Oh look, this gun actually affects the momentum. How is that possible? It's the same gun, the same principle, the same type of thing. Like I said, they didn't know how to handle the gun and they just hard kept it to the point where it's useless. And people who say this is a good gun, well, I guess they just need a build with many views. Also, there are other factors that contribute to this. For example, this is supposed to be a bouncing weapon. As you can see, that will bounce all over the place. So you might not even land where you shoot at. Another problem is that if you hold it like this and if you shoot it, it's just a very bad meridian. Doesn't do as much damage. Another problem I would say is that it doesn't have a lot of ammunition capacity. Do you know how much ammunition capacity it has? Okay, let's make some bets. Do you think it has less ammunition capacity or more ammunition capacity than the Sparkfire, which is notoriously bad for ammunition capacity? Yeah. So somehow it manages to have even less ammunition capacity than the Sparkfire. So that's why I delayed my video on how to get the Anguish so much, and that's why I don't recommend making any builds with the Anguish because nothing works, because it's bugged, and also it's not bugged because it's not bugged, it's just capped, hard capped through all means of possibly using it. So yeah, after all saying all of these problems, let's just try to make a build for it, because I saw some other people saying they made a build for the Anguish, but in fact it was a build for the Sparkfire and the Anguish was just there on for the right. You can basically replace the Anguish with whatever else you like because it will work much better. We'll have the detonation trigger. I'm not sure if my traits are correct, but definitely... yeah, they're not really correct, but definitely have whatever you like. The Ragged you don't need. Glutton you probably need. So you probably just want to replace some of that with regrowth and potency. Bloodbond especially. Bloodbond and Ranged will be replaced with potency and regrowth. Okay. So as you can see, this will reduce, again, if they fix the ritualist at some point, it will work much better because they need a better trait for it, for the ritual setup as well. So this will deal burning damage over a long period of time. Also, this helps with that. And also it will apply the fire damage 2 times and then a honey crystal. And the singe ring. Now the problem with this, or another problem, is that you'll actually get hit by the explosions if you get too close. Because that's how it works. It's explosive based. So you have to stay very, very far away from the explosion. Okay, let's try it. But I forgot to mention it, but if you charge it for a long time, it will actually start draining your health. It might be good for people who want grey health, but the grey health builds are not that great either way. So you have to start this fight with shooting one of the explosive shots. Fired normally. Get away as far as possible. Okay, we're in business. The problem is you'll not really be able to kill even the normal enemies because this weapon has weird damage output. Oh no, I almost died to that little enemy. Okay, you can also try like this, but like I said, if it would have worked with the momentum, it would have... By the way, another weird thing is that this will not destroy his balls, because it doesn't count as physical damage. So, even though it's a nice build, it has too many weak points, too many problems with that. I should have expanded on this a little more. Okay, let's expand. Okay, so let's do my usual test. Now, this is usually a group of enemies that I can kill, but in about 5 seconds, 10 seconds with a good build. And it actually works a lot better against the normal enemy because they can get staggered by the explosions, but they can also create a time bomb that is racing towards you. So, you know, in the end, I think this is just a worse version of the Meridian. Because the Meridian has a lot of damage, has a lot of DPS capability, has just a lot of the things that it does. The dead point will just make a lot of explosions happen around the enemy, which is the same thing that this thing does when you activate the mod bar, but it's so weirdly made and just as a primary weapon. And none of the mods, because the mods actually make it worse. As you can see, I'm fully buffed right now, and this is the damage, but the reload time kind of prevents it from having the same effect as it would normally have. And my trick was to just shoot the ball with the extra shells that missed the target. Wow, he got me. Well, I guess this is a good impression of what I think about the gun. I don't know, I was waiting for a fix. I'm just hoping they will fix the game, but I'm kind of losing patience with the game as well. I'll continue to cover it and make a lot of videos, but just on me why they release stuff like this when they could have simply modified a few numbers, a few lines of the code where you actually had the duration for it, or you actually had more explosive damage, or you could actually increase the explosive damage by using your trinkets, what you do with your other builds. So yeah, I will probably come back to this particular archetype and weapon once they release the balance patch or the non-hard capped patch. See you next time. Bye bye. Be safe out there. Don't use this gun. Bye.